back here, in his lower back, and that made it draw blood. And like usually from distance, those things don't really draw blood, but that thing hit him pretty hard, and you can hear like a big smack when he got shot with that taser, and he was like bleeding and everything like that. But after we all moved from that action, we were driving. We all left. Like I said, everyone was like trying to make it down that one highway, and they tried to block off one side, so we all went out the other side. So it was like probably like, I can't really say, like over 100 vehicles I counted anyways. And there was like lots of people just trying to leave and go, and trying to disperse, and while the cops are shooting rubber bullets and live rounds at the vehicles and a bunch of mace and everything. Everyone got in their vehicles, but I'm pretty sure some people got arrested at the front lines, but the major arrest was at a couple miles down the road where they blocked off a bridge, and they said they arrested us at where the road was, but we all dispersed, we all left, and so they made arrests down the highway, like several miles down. They blocked the bridge so they can start arresting people over there. So they had a big roadblock over there, and they had those military vehicles you see, that they're Humvees or whatever, not Humvees, but they're like really huge vehicles. And then they came pulling up behind us, and all those military guys hopped out, the AR-15s and everything, and then all those cops at the very front of the vehicles, where all the hundreds of vehicles were. They had like a big bus over there waiting for people to be arrested on there, and then so they all got gathered. They all got gathered at the end of the road and everything like that. There was about like, I don't know how many to say, but at least like 80 cops at least. And then they all start walking, the ones with the riot gear, and then you can tell like they're sergeants. And then some guys, they're federal agents and everything. They had like, I see one federal agent badge on his back and everything like that, and he had like some vest on. He had like almost like a suit underneath, like a tie and everything. So I know like officers really don't dress like that on the field like that, and I just knew that. And it was the weird thing seeing those mercenary dudes. Like, it's just like out of the movies. Like when we were on the front lines there, I was walking back and forth and looking at the guys who were giving orders, and it was really cool and like really awesome at the same time, because these guys were like really scared of us. Like you see these fear in these police officers' faces, like when they're holding AR-15s, shotguns with dummy rounds in them and everything like that, and like to see their fear in their face when they see natives masked up, like walking mad, mad that they're desecrating our lands and everything like that. And then some of them try to like hide it, but you can see the fear like right into their faces. Like there's this one officer who's trying to taunt me, and like he was trying to like hold his gun out towards me like that, and there's my other brother. He was like really happy to be on the front line all the time. He was jumping around all the time and hopping up and down. And then the one officer was like smiling at me. I told him I wasn't scared of him. I was like, if you want to pull out your weapon, you could. We're unarmed. And then he's like slowly, like his big smile went to like just straight. I had when I said we weren't scared of him. My other brothers came walking up, and like sort of like got shaky, and then he just started walking away. He didn't want to face us. He went on the other side of the front lines. But yeah, it was really a lot of adrenaline goes through a lot of us when we're at the front lines, because you don't know what's gonna happen when you're at the front lines. Every time we go to an action, we all pray that we come back, all together, same family, the same carloads you get there with, and. That day I got arrested, so they came down, about like 30 or 40 of them. And when they came into our vehicle, this guy came into the passenger way, and like he started yelling around in the vehicle when he first opened up, and because the other doors were messing up, the locks were going off and on, off and on. And then like I opened the front door, and he starts yelling around at us, and of course us, we're all masked up and everything. And he starts yelling around, take off your effing masks and everything like that, and we're all of us like smiling. I know we're all smiling under our masks like that, and then like when he's looking in the window, and then and then all on the other side, these 4 other officers that walked by, that guy who looked like he had that federal patch on his back or whatever, he walked by and he was leaning in the back window like that, looking at me, and then like he like walked by and like had like a weird like smirk to his face, and like he was like that, and then he like walked off, and then he came back and he looked on in there and he started tapping on the window. He's like, "Hey, you." He's like, "Yeah, this is him." The other officer came around the corner and he's like, "Yeah, that's him. I recognize him." I was like, "What?" And then they opened my vehicle, and then that's when like all like 30 of them, 30 or 40 police officers, you know, had to go on the side of the vehicle. And I was more worried about, you know, all of us being ripped out of the vehicle. You know, I had several brothers and everything in the vehicle. I was worried about all of us getting, you know, thrown out and being like, you know, tased, or one of my sisters was in the vehicle with us, and I didn't want her getting hurt, or because I know how police officers are towards women and everything that. So they pulled me out the vehicle, and that one officer who recognized me, who was on the front lines, like who really kept an eye on me, I noticed him, and he came and pulled me out too. And when he came pulled me out, like I was like sitting down, I didn't want to move my hands or anything, or I took off my seatbelt, and before they opened the door, because when they opened the door, I knew they were gonna start yelling around and trying to give me orders and everything, and I didn't want to move, because if I moved, that one officer who pulled out his weapon told me not to move, and 4 or 5 other officers yelling, "Don't move," and these other officers telling me to get out, and this other officers started yelling, "Just arrest him, he's resisting." And then I was like, oh man, I was like, I wonder what they're gonna do now. So that one officer who recognized me pulled me out, and he yanked me out of the door. My top of my head hit the top of the door, and I didn't know that, and I thought like maybe one of the officers like, you know, hit me in the head or something. I was like, what the heck? And then they all put me on the ground, and then that's when all of their officers just piled onto me and started putting their knees on me. One of the bigger officers, the heavier guy, he put his knee like right on my back, and like that made me lose my breath, because when he knocked me on the ground, I was like winded a little bit. Then he landed on me with his knee. Then all of them gathered around, because I didn't see my friend, but when I was on the ground, I was looking up, and then she was recording behind the vehicle behind us. So we have that on video too. It's on one of our Red Warrior videos. And then I didn't know she was recording and everything like that. And then I guess, yeah, she had the whole thing on camera. They blocked the camera view from me being thrown down and everything. But you could see them all piled onto me, and all 30, 40 of them arrested me. And then, yeah, they just basically put us into one van. And then that one officer who recognized me, he didn't like me when you put those zip ties on. He like put them on super tight, and like when my hands were in those zip ties, like my skin was like literally all tight in those zip ties, and they're getting pressure out on my skin. So, and then when I was riding to Morton County, because it was just not even that far away, and then probably like 10 minute drive they drove us, and like the whole time I was trying to get my hands out of those zip ties, because my hands were starting to throb from the pressure of them being so tight. And I had my warrior sister, she was sitting right beside me, and I had my 2 other warrior brothers right here, and some other guy who was arrested they threw in the big van with us. And then I told them, I was like, can you guys try to help me? I was like, my hands are getting like, you know, I'm starting to like feel like I can't get no pressure or blood through them, they're getting all numb. And I started twisting my hands and pulling them as far as I could, and even getting them loose, and then they were trying to like pull on them at the same time. So I got them all loose, we already ended up being at Morton County and everything like that. So I just told him, I was like, oh well, we're gonna be inside in like 10 minutes or so. And then we waited there. Then we're all joking around, because those cops left like their belt of like canisters like all right there. I was like, we're all joking like, what if that goes off on us? And like, you know, we're all joking. I was like, oh, it's okay, we took them before, it won't hurt us. And then yeah, then that 10 minutes went by, and they ended up grabbing us, putting us inside. And you know, being arrested in Morton County, you know, all the stories you hear, it's true. You know, they put us in dog kennels, like in cages and stuff like that. Like there were cells, but they didn't put us in those cells. You know, I seen a hallway where they see us to go do booking and everything like that. They just gave us papers, wrote our names on, and numbers, gave us numbers and everything like that. And I was from Canada, so I was thinking, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get get arrested, and probably gonna get sent back to Canada, so I'm gonna have a long ride home. And then so they put us in those kennels. They put our sisters in the other kennels across from us. There was this big blue tarp that divided from us seeing our sisters, but we obviously hear them from the other side. You know, we're all laughing at each other, making jokes and everything like that. And then our Dene brothers are in our camp. Those are the ones who got assaulted. My Dene brother got shot in the head when the vehicle was moving. It was one of the moving vehicles that got shot with a rubber bullet, and I guess went through the back window, hit him in the back of the head. So, like, stuff like that, and like the cops, how they've been treated to all of us. It's like it happens on like a daily basis, not even at the front lines. It happens on our reserves, in our cities, places where you think you'd be safe, but a lot of places ain't really safe for a lot of our Native women or children, and You know, this is why Mama Jules is out here trying to make awareness that, you know, not even at your own homes it's safe, you know, from what these governments have been doing to us. So, you know, that's why I stand beside her and protect her as much as I could, you know. On the front lines, you know, I see Mama there getting all mad and everything. You know, and we have to chill her down because the cops are looking at her, wanting to grab her, and you know. But that's what we do, you know. We stood beside Mama Jules the whole time, did whatever she wanted to do. We protect her at the front lines, you know. We had a lot of fun over there, you know. Sometimes where it gets so serious, but you know, you see Mama Jules and the whole crowd smiling, you know, the only one smiling. You know, so it's a good feeling to be on front lines with Mama Jules, because you know, so you be mad yourself, and then you look over, you see a woman just smiling, you know. So it just makes you more better being on the front line.